Have you ever been on a trip where something went wrong? Maybe your flight got delayed and you missed a connection, or you got sick overseas and you had to scramble to find a doctor who spoke English. It's the kind of stuff you don't want to think about when planning a vacation. But the reality is, travel doesn't always go according to plan. That's why travel insurance exists. In today's video, we're taking a deep dive into WorldTrips travel insurance, what it covers, how much it costs, and the real pros and cons that you'll want to know before you buy. What's going on, everyone? My name's StudentSecure, and this is Insurance Wise, where we cut through the fluff and make insurance actually make sense. So by the end of this video, you'll have a clear picture of whether WorldTrips is the right option for your travels or whether you should keep shopping around. So let's get into it. Who is WorldTrips and why should you care? Now, before we start comparing and crunching numbers, let's talk about who WorldTrips is. Because honestly, when it comes to insurance, the company backing your policy matters just as much as the policy itself. So WorldTrips isn't some small startup that popped up in the last few years. They've been around for more than 25 years, and they're part of the Tokyo Marine HCC, which is one of the largest and most financially stable insurance groups in the world. Tokyo Marine holds an A++ rating from AM Best, which is basically the gold standard for financial strength. What that means for you is simple. If something happens on your trip and you need to file a claim, you can feel confident that the company has the money and resources to actually pay it. On top of that, WorldTrips has been recognized by big names like Forbes, CNN, Condé Nast Traveler, NerdWallet, and even USA Today, which ranked them the best travel insurance company in 2024. So they're not just respected inside the insurance world. They're on the radar of everyday travelers too. The reason people tend to gravitate toward WorldTrips is that they offer flexibility. They're not trying to shove every traveler into one cookie-cutter plan. Instead, they have options for different situations. Vacationers, students studying abroad, digital nomads working overseas, families taking group trips, or even frequent flyers who travel all year long. Breaking down the plans. All right, now let's get into the heart of it, the actual plans. Because travel insurance can mean a lot of different things depending on what you're looking for. Some plans are focused on protecting your prepaid trip costs. Others are really about medical coverage if you get sick or injured abroad. Now, WorldTrips does a little of both, depending on the plan you choose. Atlas Travel and Atlas Premium. We'll start with Atlas Travel, which is their most popular medical-focused plan. If you're leaving your home country and you just want peace of mind that you'll be covered for doctor visits, hospital stays, and an unexpected accident, this is the kind of plan you'd look at. Atlas Travel lets you pick your deductible and your coverage limits, so you have some control over the price. Let's say you're heading to Europe for 2 weeks. You might choose a lower deductible and a decent coverage limit, just in case something happens. The plan covers things like emergency medical care, emergency dental work, lost checked luggage, and even medical evacuation if you need to be flown to another hospital for treatment. Then you have Atlas Premium, which is basically Atlas Travel, but with beefed up limits. And instead of topping out at a few $100,000, you can get up to $2 million in coverage. That might sound extreme, but the reality is medical evacuation can be insanely expensive. Sometimes $100,000 or more depending on where you are. For families or travelers who want that extra safety net, Atlas Premium is worth looking at. The nice part about both plans is that you still get 24/7 travel assistance. So if you're abroad and you need help finding a doctor, replacing a lost passport, or figuring out how to get home, you've got a team you can call. And if you're in the US, these plans connect to their United Healthcare PPO network, which gives you access to a ton of providers nationwide. Atlas Journey, trip cancellation and protection. Now, switching gears a little bit here, let's talk about Atlas Journey. This one is more about protecting your trip investment than your health. So imagine you've prepared thousands of dollars for flights and hotels, and then something happens. A family emergency, an illness, or even just bad weather that forces you to cancel. Without insurance, that money's just gone. With Atlas Journey, you can get reimbursed. Atlas Journey is only available for US residents, and it comes in 3 flavors: Escape, Explore, and Elevate. The names are kind of cute, but the difference basically comes down to how much coverage you want. Escape is the budget version. Explore is the mid-range, and Elevate is the premium plan with the most protection. So what does it actually cover? Well, aside from cancellation, it helps with trip interruptions, delays, and missed connections. If your bags are lost or delayed, you can get reimbursed for essentials. There's also medical coverage included, with Elevate offering up to $250,000 in medical expenses and $1 million for evacuation. And if you want extra peace of mind, you can tack on options like cancel for any reason, which lets you cancel even if the reason isn't on the covered list, and still get a partial refund. This is the plan that got WorldTrips a lot of attention from USA Today and other review sites. For the price, it's one of the stronger trip cancellation policies out there. StudentSecure for international students. All right, now let's talk about students. If you're going abroad for school, insurance usually isn't optional. A lot of universities and visas require proof of coverage before you can even enroll. That's where StudentSecure comes in. WorldTrips offers 4 levels here: Smart, Budget, Select, and Elite. So students can choose something that fits their budget. Even the lower tiers meet the J1 visa requirements, which is huge. These plans cover unexpected injury and illness, recreational sports, emergency evacuation, and even some mental health care. The cool thing is, if your school automatically enrolls you in their insurance, but you find it's more expensive or doesn't fit your needs, StudentSecure often qualifies as an alternative. You can sometimes waive out of the school's plan by proving you bought StudentSecure instead. For international students, especially those on a tight budget, this can be a more flexible option than being stuck with whatever your school offers. Atlas Nomads, coverage for digital nomads. This one's a newer type of plan that's becoming more popular. Atlas Nomads. It's specifically designed for digital nomads and remote workers who might be living abroad for months at a time. If you've ever looked into digital nomad visas, you know many of them require proof of insurance. Atlas Nomads fits the bill. It covers you almost anywhere in the world, and you can either pay monthly or upfront for the year. The monthly option is nice because if your plans change, you can head back home, and then you can just cancel it at the end of the month. Coverage starts at about $1.85 a day, which comes out to roughly $52 for a month of coverage if you're under 39. You get up to $250,000 in protection, a $0 deductible option, and benefits like evacuation, urgent care, and telehealth visits through the Air Doctor network. That last part is actually really handy. You can find vetted doctors nearby or even do video visits if you'd rather not leave your apartment. Compared to annual multi-trip plans, Nomad insurance is just more flexible. Annual plans usually assume you're taking multiple shorter trips. Nomad is for people who are actually living abroad long term. Other plans you might see. So WorldTrips also has a few smaller options that might apply in certain cases. There's Atlas Multi-Trip, which is an annual plan for frequent flyers who take lots of short international trips. There's Atlas America, which is designed for non-US citizens visiting the US. And then there's Atlas On the Go, which is like a stripped down last-minute trip interruption plan that you can buy on the day of departure. They even have group plans, which give discounts for 5 or more people traveling together. Think family reunions, mission trips, or school tours. So what does it cost? Pricing's always the big question. And with travel insurance, the cost depends on a bunch of factors: your age, where you're going, how long you're traveling, and which benefits you choose. To give you an idea, for Atlas Nomads, a 4-week plan for someone under 39 comes in at around $52 if you're traveling abroad, or $101 if your trip includes the US. For Atlas Journey Trip cancellation coverage, prices range from about $61 for a short trip to over $250 for a longer or more expensive vacation. Atlas Travel and Atlas Premium are a little harder to pin down because you can customize them so much, but generally you're looking at a few dollars per day depending on the deductible and the limits you pick. Overall, WorldTrips lines up with the industry average, where most people spend about 5 to 6% of their trip cost on insurance. The nice part is you can play with the numbers. Higher deductible means lower cost. Lower deductible means you'll pay a bit more up front, but less if you actually need to use it. Pros of WorldTrips. So what makes WorldTrips really stand out? First, they've got a solid reputation and financial backing, which is huge. Travel insurance is one of those things where you don't want to gamble on a no-name company. You want to know that they can pay when it matters. Second, they offer a wide range of plans for different types of travelers. Whether you're a student, a family, a frequent flyer, or someone living abroad, they probably have something designed for your situation. Third, some of their plans offer primary coverage, which means if something happens, WorldTrips pays directly. With secondary coverage, you'd have to file a claim with your regular health insurance first, get denied, and then circle back to your travel insurance. That's a hassle most people want to avoid. And finally, their support system is solid. You can reach them 24/7 in multiple language, and they even have tools like Air Doctor to make finding care abroad easier. Now for some cons of WorldTrips. Of course, no insurance company is perfect. Here are the downsides you'll want to keep in mind. For one, the trip cancellation plans are only for US residents. So if you live outside the States, you won't be able to use Atlas Journey. Another con is the pre-existing condition coverage. Like most insurers, WorldTrips excludes a lot of pre-existing conditions unless you meet strict requirements. Usually that means you have to buy the plan within a certain time window after booking your trip. If you miss that, you might be out of luck. Also, while the coverage is good, it's not always the highest on the market. For example, the Nomad plan caps out at $250,000, which could be low for someone who wants extra high medical protection. And then there's the claim process. Like most insurers, it can involve paperwork, receipts, medical records, and sometimes even special authorization forms. It's not impossible, but it's not always smooth sailing either. Now, who is WorldTrips best for? If you're a digital nomad, WorldTrips is one of the best options out there. Their Nomad plan is built for exactly that lifestyle, which isn't something you see from every insurer. If you're an international student, StudentSecure can help you meet visa and school requirements without locking you into a school-sponsored plan that might not fit your needs. For US residents planning big trips, the Atlas Journey plans offer strong cancellation coverage at a good price. And if you're a family or group traveling abroad, their group discounts make coverage more affordable. Now, who might want to look elsewhere? On the flip side, if you're planning to do extreme adventure sports like bungee jumping, skydiving, or scuba diving, you might want to look at a company that specializes in those activities, unless you're adding the adventure sports rider. If you're a senior traveler who wants really high medical coverage, some other insurers might offer higher limits by default. And if you're dealing with serious pre-existing conditions, you'll need to pay extra attention to the fine print. WorldTrips may not always be the best fit in that case. So down below, we've got all of the links to these different plans, so you can go ahead and check them out. First, let's take a look at the travel insurance made simple. So here, all you need to do is go ahead and select your citizenship, your home country, and where you're going. Let's say I'm going to Greece. I'll go ahead and select that. I'm studying abroad. I'm a digital nomad. That's optional. And then here you can say I'm departing today, or I want to insure my trip costs. Let's go ahead and get a quote for that. The residence, we'll go ahead and select California. Departure date, let's go ahead and say, closer to the end of the month. And we'll be gone for 2 weeks. So we'll go ahead and select the second there. Traveler's age, 30. Total trip cost, let's say it was $6,000. Initial trip payment, let's go ahead and just say it's today. And next, let's go ahead and click continue. All right, so here we go. We've got a couple different plans we can choose from. The Elevate, the Explore, and the Escape plans, sort of like we talked about. So as you can see, it ranged from $139 to $189. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of these, the fine print here, but as you can see, you can get a lot more coverage for really not that much more money. $50 more from the cheapest to the most expensive plan. You're going to get a lot more coverage. So whenever you're using this, make sure you go in there and you go ahead, just take note of all the fine print. Next, we have Atlas Premium Insurance. So let's go ahead and just run through this real quick. Primary destination, again, we'll type in Greece here and keep it consistent. Start coverage date, coverage end date, traveler's birthday, and we'll go ahead and click continue. And there we go. For 2 weeks, it's going to be $21.90 for the Atlas Travel Medical Insurance. Now, again, we can choose our overall maximum limit. So let's maybe select $500,000. And you can see it's like $8 more for 5 times the maximum limit coverage. We could also select a different deductible. Maybe you want a higher deductible, you'll pay a little bit less. Or maybe you want zero deductible, you'll pay a couple dollars more. Really worth it if you ask me. Now, again, make sure you click on View All Benefits and you go through each of these drop downs so you're familiar with what is covered, what is not, before you go ahead and purchase this insurance and go on your trip. Next, we've got trip cancellation insurance. So again, we'll go ahead and just run through this real quick. Select California, primary destination, we'll go to Greece. Okay, so initial trip payment, we'll go 10/08, 2025, and click continue. And again, this brings us back to those same Elevate, Explore, and Escape plans. Next, let's go ahead and look at Nomad Insurance. So this one's gonna be a little different since it's meant for a little bit longer term, but we'll go ahead and select our citizenship, home country, primary destination. Let's type in Greece, coverage start date. Again, we'll just plug in these same dates just for, consistency's sake. And we'll go ahead and click continue. All right. So let's go ahead and click next. And there we go. One-time payment, $27.75 for Nomad Insurance, which again is, for this example, just 2 weeks. Now, you're probably going to go for longer than that, but let's go ahead and just, again, make sure you look at all the benefits before you go ahead and commit to this plan. International student insurance. So, is a participant a U.S. citizen? Yes. Will the trip include the U.S.? No. Coverage start date. Let's go ahead and we'll select that same 19th. But for this, maybe it'll be, let's just do a year and click continue. And here we go. So this is for an entire year of coverage. So again, I changed it from that 2 week, period that we were doing because that's more for, trips, right? But this is for an entire year. Maybe you're doing an entire year abroad. So as you can see, prices range from about $407 to $1,500. And that's a single payment. If we go to monthly prices, we can see that this is a lot more manageable. Anywhere from $39 to $135 per month. Again, make sure you look through all of the benefits and coverages before committing to a plan. So what's the verdict? WorldTrips is one of the more flexible and trustworthy travel insurance companies out there. They've got strong financial backing, a wide range of plan options, and a reputation for being reliable. Digital nomads and students will especially find value in plans tailored just for them. And U.S. residents looking for trip protection will find the Atlas Journey plans hard to beat. They're not perfect. Coverage, caps, and exclusions can be limiting, and the claims process isn't always simple. But compared to many competitors, WorldTrips does a great job of balancing affordability with solid protection. At the end of the day, travel insurance is about peace of mind. You hope you never have to use it, but if something goes wrong, you'll be glad you have it. And WorldTrips is a provider worth considering if you want that peace of mind without breaking the bank. Other than that, thanks for hanging out with me for this review of WorldTrips travel insurance. If you want to get started with WorldTrips travel insurance, we've got links for all the different plans we talked about today down in the description. Now, these are affiliate links, which means we earn a small commission if you use them at no extra cost to you. And these commissions really help support the channel and allow us to continue to create free content just like this. So if you end up using it, we thank you so much in advance. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you here in the next video.